getting used to a new car takes time. The only thing he doesn't have is that time. Is more like momentary than legendary. Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I have for you another episode of Drive to Survive from the documentary on Netflix, with you, your server, Manena Manotu, talking about Dogfight in A Girl Talks Formula One. So we all know that Daniel Ricciardo switched teams. People are still skeptical about why he left Red Bull. He says he just wanted a fresh start, but this fresh start is not going so fresh. He hasn't been obtaining the results that he was looking for on the team. And like he said, the reason why he joined Renault was because in 2016 they had a lot of momentum. They started rising up, but unfortunately the car he has now is more like momentary than legendary. Because of him joining Renault, Carlos Sainz got kicked out of the team. He was very nervous at the beginning because he had no offers from other teams and he didn't know if he was simply gonna have to leave the Formula One. Zach Brown set his eyes on Carlos Sainz and welcomed him to McLaren, in which he was paired with none other than our favorite funny guy, don't tell Daniel, Lando Norris. So we go visit him to his house in Mallorca, in which he spends time with his family every single summer. As he likes to say, every professional athlete needs their own time to disconnect from the world. They're always training, they're always driving. They need this kind of like physical, mental, and psychological endurance to actually sustain the Formula One. It's a very competitive, demanding, and dangerous sport, so they need a lot of emotional and physical intelligence and strength to actually get through and through. I was looking at a little YouTube video the other day on YouTube, and Lando Norris said something that really stuck to me. They're basically racing every single weekend. The times that we use to relax and have fun with our friends is a time that they use to work. And when they're not driving, they're actually in press conferences, doing PR things, photo shoots, you name it. So the way that Carlos realized that he wasn't in the Renault team anymore is because he got a call from Cyril Abiteboul telling him that they had already booked Ricciardo out. Zach Brown hired Carlos Sainz eventually in McLaren because he realized how fast and mature he is for being only 24 years old. And he couldn't have had a better teammate than Lando because, as we all know, their bromance is major goals. And even Zach Brown thinks so. He says that Carlos and Lando get along very well. They're very competitive with each other in a healthy way. So now we go to Baku. Daniel Ricciardo loves Baku. He says it's very intense and great for racing, but he is a little bit skeptical about what place will he reach on this Grand Prix because he hasn't been performing as he's wanted to. Same goes for Carlos Sainz. McLaren team hired him because they think he's fast, but he has not been giving them the results they've been looking for. When it comes to Daniel, every single race since the season started has been having something negative. Will Buxton tells us that Daniel knew moving to Renault would be a challenge, but he didn't anticipate the first races to be as hard as they've been. Getting used to a car is like getting used to a microphone for singers. Daniel knows that the Red Bull car and the Renault car are very different. The brakes, the tires, the setting, everything. Getting used to a new car takes time. The only thing he doesn't have is that time. So because Carlos got kicked out of Renault because of Daniel, they were both kind of becoming very fierceful competitors against each other. Some would even say enemies, which is something that really surprises me because Daniel is friends with everybody and Carlos is just such a peaceful, mature, focused guy. They're both some of my favorite drivers, so I really hope that this feud just stops. It makes me sad seeing them fight. So we go back to Baku. Carlos and Daniel did terrible on qualifying day. Carlos ended up in 11th and Daniel in 12th. So you know how most of the Formula One drivers have their up-and-close personal competition. Kevin Magnussen with Nico Hülkenberg. In this case, it's Carlos and Daniel. They're both trying to compete against each other to see who is going to perform better. So on race day, Daniel, as always, a great overtaker, started overtaking everybody. But when it was time to pass Kvyat, bam, they crashed against each other. Nothing major happened. Kvyat's car wasn't moving. and Daniel started trying to go on reverse. He didn't see Daniel, and he ended up properly crashing against him. They both obviously had to retire from the competition, and Daniel was majorly frustrated. On the other hand, Carlos Sainz ended up in 7th place, and that is when his real great times in McLaren started. Carlos has great faith in this team, and he knows that McLaren has what it takes to go back to championships like in the Fernando Alonso times. Now let's talk about personal trainers / performance coaches. If you thought the drivers were hot, these guys ain't asking for nothing from them. We've got Michael Italiano, which is Daniel's friend since they were 11 years old, and now they're working together. Daniel lives in LA because he thinks looking at palm trees and sunny skies and everything makes him get really concentrated and, well, the happy person that he is. Michael Italiano lives with him most of the time, and on their free time they just go play basketball. They, well, basically just have fun, like kids. Then we've got Rupert Manwaring. That is Carlos' performance coach. They both live in the UK, and what they like doing on their spare time besides going to the gym is cooking. So you can see them very funnily looking for fajitas powder at the supermarket, because that's what they're gonna have, Mexican fajitas. But if you ask me, I think fajitas are actually Tex-Mex. Anyway, you get the drill. Carlos also spends a lot of time at the McLaren offices on his free time because he thinks it's very important to get along with the engineers. That way the relationship can be better during race day. They can both get to know the car better, and therefore leading to a better performance. As Rupert likes to say, Carlos is always looking at ways to improve himself, and we're all aware of this. He's probably the hardest working driver in the Formula One. This is literally his life and his passion. So then we go to Barcelona, and as Carlos says, we all think we are the best. We go back to his feud with Daniel Ricciardo, and he starts saying how he thinks Daniel is the best. But then he adds, well, we think we are all the best. I mean, they wouldn't be in the Formula One if they didn't think that. Am I right? Well, is he right? Carlos Sainz is mature, but he is also effing competitive. In Barcelona, Daniel overtook Carlos. They both pitted at the boxes at the same time. And then Carlos couldn't take it. He started overtaking drivers, but he was hungry for more until he went after Daniel Ricciardo. He overtook him too. We have never seen Carlos Sainz so aggressive. So at the end of the race, Carlos Sainz ended up in 8th place and Daniel Ricciardo ended up in 12th. Zach Brown is majorly proud of Carlos because he thinks he did the right decision by putting him on the team. Daniel, on the other hand, is crushed. But as we've seen very often, Cyril really puts so much faith on his drivers. He's always used the excuse of not having a good car for Nico Hülkenberg, and in this case, he is using the same excuse for Daniel Ricciardo. Then again, is it really the car, or is it the driver? What do you guys think? Don't forget to comment down below, like or subscribe to my channel, and see you again next week for another episode on A Girl Talks Formula One.